Here we go again, guys. Got another outstanding deer I want to show you from last year's helicopter survey. This first deer just grabs your attention, says, holy moly, look how wide he is. He's 24, 25 inches inside. But before you look at his antlers, let's look down at his body. I see a butt that's not too big. I see a back that's not too flat. I don't see a belly. I'm looking between his legs in the rear. I'm looking to the side. I don't see a belly. I don't really see a deep chest, and his neck's not that big. Look at that one ear hanging out to the right. That's a great, big, long, wide ear. They're not notched, beat up, torn, ragged. They look right between his antlers. I see dark hair. It's not very wide. Believe it or not, I don't believe this deer's mature. It's going to be hard to pass this deer up, but to get to the next level, if you want to kill a 190-inch typical deer instead of a 180-inch typical deer, we got to let him go. Don't shoot this deer. He's not ready. All right, look at this next guy. Really nice, narrow butt. I see a little bit of hips. I see a belly sticking out, but I don't see any shoulders. You notice how his shoulders are kind of triangular. So he does not have a flat back, but he has a belly. But look at his neck. His neck's not too thick. Look at those big old ears pointing back to the helicopter. I see smooth, rounded ears. They look pretty big to me. Now let's move up between his antlers. Not that wide, 5 inches. I see no gray hair. Now let's look at his antlers. Pretty decent mass, 4.5, 4 6/8 inch mass. But look, they're peanut colored. I don't think this deer is mature. Now let's look at his antlers. He has great brow tines. He has outstanding twos. He has wonderful threes. This is a great deer. Long mane beams. I really can't tell how many points he has. Looks like maybe a 5x5, 5x6. But I don't think this deer is mature. I think this deer needs a minimum of 1 more year. This is one of those deer I'd really like to look at trail cameras or somebody sitting in a deer blind and send me a picture or something. I don't think this deer is mature, so I'm going to say do not shoot this deer. Look at this old man right here. Big, deep butt, big, deep chest, saggy belly, loose skin, swollen knees. You can see the muscle in his shoulders, how it evolves up into his big, thick neck. You see his ears. They're just kind of average to even small compared to his head. Look at the depth of his skull from his antlers down to his jaw. You see that loose skin right there where his jaw and his jowls kind of come together. You see that mottled look around his eyes, that kind of salt and pepper gray hair around the whites of his eyes. Looks like his nose is a little blunt. It's definitely not long and pointed. Now let's look up at his antlers. Pretty good mass. Coloration's a little light for a mature deer. I'm not sure. I can't remember when I took this particular photograph, but it looks like it may have been soon thereafter he rubbed out. But he's got a lot of gnarly bases down around the pedicle and stuff. He's got some pretty cool looking brow tines. That one on the right forks. That one on the left looks like it's kind of palmated, if you would. Got a little bit of velvet on the G2s maybe. So this was probably a September photograph. It's green. Looks like it's green out there. But anyway, what I'm seeing is an old deer. He's probably at or beyond his prime. Nice twos, nice threes, but everything else falls off pretty quick. So this is a nice trophy buck for someone. I think this deer has reached his prime, maybe a little beyond. His skin's getting loose. His body's starting to sag. So I would say let's take this deer this year and make somebody really, really proud. Here's a neat deer. Brush is green, grass is green, everything's beautiful. Deer's in great shape. I see a pretty good body. I see a big chest. See that black mane going down his back of his neck. Those are beautiful deer. You can even see some of the little white stripes. Sometimes those are real pronounced. See it all the way running down the back of his spine, all the way to almost the base of his tail. It's kind of unique. But that is a genetic variation, color phase that a lot of deer do have. But he's got some shoulders. He's got a little bit of neck. But look at his face, long and pointed, not that deep. A little bit of charcoal, gray on the sides. Look at the antler base. Look at the color. I'm not convinced this deer is mature. He's a great 10-point. Got short brow tines, short G4s. Again, this is another deer I'd like to look at from the ground, but based on what I see right here, I think he's probably a 5-year-old. Argument could be 6, but I'm going to stick with 5 until I learn more. So initially, my reaction is don't shoot this deer, but send me some trail cameras, send me some daylight observations, send me some other photographs to convince me that he's older than 5. So based on what I see right now, I say don't shoot this deer, but that is subject to change. Boy, here's a tall tine Sally. Running away, I see a red tail, wide butt, no hips. I see a belly sticking out to both sides. I see wide across his shoulders. I see a big, thick neck. I see small ears. Now look between his antlers. Look pretty wide to me, 5.5, something like that. I don't see a lot of gray hair, but I see a wide, slick coat. Deer is very, very healthy. He just shines. He's really pretty. Now look at he's got good mass, got excellent brow tines, outstanding 2s and 3s and even 4s. This is an incredible 10-point. Looks like that left beam tip is broke off. Still, this is a great, great animal. Again, I'm not sure how old he is. He looks mature because he's flat across the back and he's got a neck. But I don't see ragged ears. I don't see a lot of loose skin. This deer is running hard, but he's noticing he's running through the brush, not over it, not around it. He's kind of going through it. So I suspect this is a mature deer, but again, before harvest, I would hope that we'd get a ground photograph so we could make a better call. So my initial knee-jerk reaction is this is a mature buck, but before we pull the trigger, because this deer is outstanding, you know, tine length is 75% of all Boone and Crockett score. You know, we need tine length, and this is a potential net book deer. So we want to make sure that we get all the breeding we can out of this deer, and we harvest him only when he's mature. And I'm not convinced this deer is mature. Let's go back and look at this deer here. I believe we're in Dimmitt County. Look at that old red sandy soil. Looks like it's wet outside. Look at his butt. This deer's well-rounded, big belly, flat across the back, wide across the back, deep chest, deep shoulders. I see swollen knees. Look how big those hooves are. We all know that big mature bucks have big feet. Look at this. This deer has huge feet. So we can even use the bottom of their feet to help us age. That's what I love these photographs for, because we can study every square inch of this animal. See a big, powerful neck. I see his ears folded back. It's a blue or a green ear tag in his right ear. I'm not sure. I don't even know what that signifies on this particular ranch. A lot of guys have ear tags. I love them because they help us identify the deer over the years. But I don't know what that ear tag, what color it is, so I don't know how that would help us here. But here's what I see between his antlers. Look how wide it is. See all that white hair? That deer's neck just goes right up to the back of his skull and it turns white. I see super massive antlers. I see long main beams. Now I see real short tines. So I think this deer is definitely mature, and I think he's right for harvest because his tines are short. He's probably an old deer on the decline. You know, he's a big, old, powerful deer. Looking at his feet and his back. And so I think the deer's post-mature. This would be a great buck for someone to harvest this fall. This is an outstanding, old, mature buck. Let's look at this deer. Holy cow, don't look at the antlers. I know. Let's look at the body. I see a straight back. I see a big, full butt, full hips. There's no real indentation there. See that big old belly? He's stretched out. He's trying to go around that mesquite tree there, but he's stretched out, and that's still his belly showing. Look how deep his chest is. Man, that's a target. That's 18, 20, 21 inches deep. If you're trying to shoot him in the boiler room, you've got plenty of room. Look at that outstretched knee. See that swollen knee? See how that front leg looks short? And look how that powerful shoulder goes up into the neck. Look at the power and the size of that neck. It's a beautiful deer. And that big old neck goes all the way up into his head. You see how his ears look kind of small. I don't see that they're ragged or tore, but they sure look small. Look at the base of that right antler, go all the way down to underneath his jaw. See how loose the skin is underneath? You see how white it is? He doesn't even have the regular ring around his eye. It's just all salt and pepper. You see how his nose looks real blunt? You see how it just kind of chopped off? Now look between his antlers. You can tell even at this angle, there's a long ways between those antlers. Very, very salt and pepper, white colored. Now let's look at these monster antlers. Super mass, super color. Look at all those points on his brow tines. I don't even know how many he has, 5, 6, 7 points just on his brows. You come up to the 2s and they're throwing kickers, and the 3s are throwing kickers. This is an outstanding trophy buck. If there's anything wrong with this deer, he's got a narrow spread. But he's got long beams that wrap around the front, really long beams. Outstanding 2s and 3s and 4s. This is a super high-scoring trophy buck. With all the trash, he's going to gross really, really high. Maybe in the 195, 192, 195, 196. His net will be much less, obviously, but if you're just looking for a near 200-inch deer, this is him. And he's fully mature. And so I would say take this deer. Some guys will let these deer go to after the rut and then harvest them. Some guys say, no, I want to take these deer before they get broke up, and that's before the rut. 6 1/2 dozen the other. As a biologist, I would hope that you'd let him breed. We raised him for 7, 8 years. Let's let him breed one more time. But that great big old kicker hanging off this side of his G2, and maybe a few others may get broke off. But this is an outstanding buck, fully mature, high 190s, maybe 200-inch deer. These deer are very, very rare. So take him when you're comfortable. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this series. It's been a lot of fun. I'm glad everybody's enjoying these. I certainly enjoy doing them with you, and I hope you find them educational and fun, and we will continue doing this. So keep checking back with the site, watching for the e-blast. Tell your buddies and friends that you're learning deer management, whitetaildomains.com.